This is my latest project. It's a microwave oven, timer and controller, and I want to put it into a decent housing like my sand mixer. They're very simple to work with. Have a look on the back part of it. There is your relay. All you need is a connection to source, and then it goes off to what you're trying to switch on. To get the microwave oven controller and timer to operate, we first need to connect 240 volt connection. And that operates the timer, controller and also the relay. Second thing we need to do is to connect 240 volts to the relay, and then another connection to go through to the light so it'll switch it on. Now we just plug it in and switch it on. Now it's on. We press in 10 seconds and then press start. And that's how it works. To put all these parts into another housing, we have to take off the touchpad and the PCB and the connector for the touchpad. So I'll start with that. That's disconnected. Now we can take out the PCB. Now to get the touchpad off, you have to very carefully lift up the touchpad in the corner. I've taken off the touchpad, but I need to make sure that it still works after I've taken it off. What I've done, I've reassembled everything, and we'll give it a test run to see if it still works. We'll dial up 10 seconds. Looks like everything still works. I've made a start on the microwave oven controller timer housing. It's made out of Perspex, and to create the flat edges on it, I've used one axis here to create that edge and that edge so it's parallel, and then I've had to change these clamps around because they were originally around here, and then create with another axis these flat edges here and here. Now going to machine the ribbon cable slot. The recess for the touchpad has been machined out, and there's two different depths. That's one and that's the other. And the only thing that's left to do is to cut out a little slot so you can view the digital display. The viewport has been milled out. and that's what it looks like. This is the progress so far. I've finished the top face and to save time, instead of making my own little pillars or mounting points, I've cut these from the original housing, so to save a bit of time. And here is the old housing where they've been cut out. I need a hole that size. I've already made one, but I'll show you how I've done it. You've got to drill a pilot hole that size, then use a homemade boring bar to cut the hole out to the right size. The guide hole has been drilled out. It's important that it's a neat fit there, so this doesn't wander all over the place and give an inaccurate hole. Now the second hole has been successfully cut. Here's a view of the cutter, the boring bar. Here is the socket that's got to fit in the hole. Turned out perfect. All the Perspex panels have been cut and holes are drilled in all the various places. But what I've done, I've added an extra 2 mounts here to put a speed controller from a vacuum cleaner. Here is my elaborate jig to glue the parts together. There's the first part. That has to be right, otherwise the rest of it won't fit. Second piece glued on. Third piece is glued on. The fourth piece has been glued on. All the machining has been done and the parts assembled. Now we can start putting the electronic parts in there. And the first part is the potentiometer and the cable gland. All the PCBs have been installed. This one is the vacuum cleaner speed controller, and this one here is the microwave oven controller. Now the wires come through here, and this feeds the speed controller, and the 2 wires you can see under there go into there, and they feed the micro oven controller. The touchpad has been re-glued in again, and we just got to connect the ribbon cable. While we're up this side, the power cord been installed, so you've got a feed coming into there which feeds the rest of it. But what I've done extra is the wires come out from here, needs to feed the relay, and then when the relay switches on it feeds that power point. And we've got a neutral wire coming from here to activate that power point, and then this power point is fed by the vacuum cleaner speed controller, and these 2 wires here go to this power point here, so there's 2 separate systems on this one. And now we're ready for a test run. I'm going to dial up 20 seconds on the timer, but before I do I'll show you a special feature with this timer I've never seen before in a microwave oven timer. This button here, you can change it and add 10-second blocks to it while the microwave oven timer is running. and this one here subtracts 10 seconds while it's running. So I'll show you. There's 20, start. That's added 20 seconds to it. This is subtracted 20 seconds. And there it works. This is a quick explanation of how the motor speed controller works. It just controls the voltage, and what we've got over here is the amp meter AC and the voltmeter AC. Now at the moment we've got 22 volts. As you can see, the light's getting brighter and the amps are going up. So you're well over 200 volts and a 0.5 of an amp. And as you can see, we can go down to a fairly low voltage, about 11 volts. And that's how it works. Here is another use for the speed controller. My old drill has got a variable speed on it. When it's running flat out, it just goes just too fast. You can slow the drill right down to a slow speed and gradually speed it up. How useful is that? Someone asked me about the microwave oven controller on my sand mixer, and they said, can you use the power function on the touchpad to control the speed of a motor? Well, no, you can't, and I'll show you why. Dial up 30 seconds, then press the power button, then we'll put the power level on 5. That's what happens, and that's how a microwave oven is controlled. It's switched on for low power and then switched off for a while and then switched back on again. The power stays the same. While we're on the subject of motor speed controllers, this controller cannot be used on any other motor other than these motors. These are series connected motors with brushes. Don't use them on induction motors.